Most players pick their D&D skills based on what the party is missing. Nobody has proficiency in perception, you take perception. No face character, you grab persuasion. And it makes sense. You're being a good teammate. But here's the thing. A skill list built for the party tells you everything about what your character can and can't do. It tells you almost nothing about who they are. Instead of asking, what does the party need? Try asking, what has my character lived through? Because that question doesn't just fill a gap, it builds a person.
Builds character, Zachary.
Now, the impulse to optimize your skill list isn't bad. At all. You want to contribute. You want to be the person at the table when the DM calls for a perception check and nobody has it. That's a genuine collaborative instinct. And there's a version of this game where that's the whole job. You build for efficiency, you cover the party's weaknesses, you're a well-oiled machine. That version works. But if you've ever finished a campaign and felt like your character never quite felt real, this video's for you. Here's where it breaks down. When you pick skills to fill a party gap, you end up with proficiencies that have no story behind them. And the moment a DM puts you in a scene that isn't a skill check, a roleplay moment, a flashback, an NPC who asks how you know so much about arcane history, you've got nothing. Because you never asked why your character knows these things, you just know that they do. And that's the trap. For example, you picked Arcana because the party needed magical knowledge. Great. But your character is a fighter. So now your DM asks, how does a street-raised fighter know anything about the weave?
What do you know about it?
And you're sitting there because you picked that skill for the party, not for the person. Let me put two players next to each other. Same class, a ranger, level 1. Player A looks at the skill list and thinks, we don't have anyone with perception or stealth. I'll take those. And we're short on nature, so I'll grab that too. Solid, functional, done in 3 minutes. Player B asks a different question first. They think, my character grew up in a fishing village on the coast. They learned to read weather patterns to keep the boat safe. They know the sea, the birds, the tides, so they take survival and perception. But the reason is locked in. When the DM describes a storm rolling in, player B doesn't wait for a skill check. They speak, because they know exactly what their character would notice. Same class, same proficiencies, but only one of those players has a character who lives outside the mechanics. So you can get the difference of one is a skill set, the other is a skill story. And in the end, the DM is able to work more with a story than with a set. So here's how you build toward the second one. 3 questions. Ask them before you lock in a single skill. Question 1. Where did my character learn this? Every skill proficiency represents a real experience. Athletics means your body did something hard repeatedly over time. History means someone taught you, a mentor, a library, a life that required it. If you can't answer where the learning came from, that's your signal. Either build the answer or pick a different skill. 2. What does the skill say about who they are? Skills are a character's relationship with the world. Persuasion says people have always listened to this person, or they learn to make people listen. Deception says something darker or more desperate. Medicine says someone was lost and someone else was dying and they needed to do something about it. When you can look at your skill list and can name the feeling behind each one, you've done the work. And number 3, what does my character not know and why? This is the one people skip. Your dump stats are not just low numbers, they're a story too. A character with no insight isn't just bad at reading people, they're someone who was never taught to pay attention, or who learned to stop trusting their instincts. A character with no persuasion had something happen that made them stop talking their way through problems. Give your weaknesses a reason. They're often more interesting than your strengths. If this kind of character building content you want more of, The stuff that helps your character feel real at the table, not just effective, go ahead and subscribe. I put out long-form TTRPG content built around exactly this, the craft of storytelling through play. Here's what this all comes back to. When you sit down to pick skills, you're making a choice about what kind of character you want to play. And both choices are valid. I want to be clear about that. An optimized skill list is not a bad character. It's a functional one. But a story-first skill list gives you something the optimizer doesn't automatically get. Reasons. Reasons to speak, reasons to know things, reasons to react, reasons to be there in that scene, in that moment, as that specific person, and not just that class. For example, in your next session, try this. Before you write down a single skill, take 3 minutes and answer those questions out loud. Where did I learn this? What does it say about me? What don't I know and why? You don't need a 3-page backstory, you just need 3 sentences, 1 per skill group. That's your foundation. So you can get that difference of the optimizer builds a character who can handle the world, or the storyteller who builds a character who lives in it. For today's dice of the day, your wizard's eyes glow in the dark. Cool, huh? What's one skill on your current character sheet that has a story you've never actually told at the table? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. If you want to keep building characters with more intention, I'm over on Instagram at yay.and.d. And if you're looking for one-shots, RPG planners, or adventure modules soon to come, built around story first play, the Etsy shop link is in the description. Happy rolling!